Grim is one of the most underwhelming operators in Rainbow Six Siege in his current state. And today I'm going to be giving my examples for why he's underwhelming and ways for Ubisoft to buff him to make him better. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so for the first example for why Grim is underwhelming, I'm going to be, for the sake of, this video, let's pretend that they're on the Armory bomb site. They have a guy on half wall that I want to clear out. They've obviously reinforced this wall so I can't actually peek it. And I need to, clear the guy on the half wall. So I have to pull out my gadget, which honestly, look at how long this animation takes. It takes a bit, right? While I'm pulling this gadget out, he's getting an audio cue in half wall that I'm pulling my gadget out. Not to mention, I'm making loud noises when I swing. And if I want to go to swing this guy to shoot my gadget at him, right? I can get swung from this wall right here, and they can just shoot me right through here while I'm doing that. And so the problem, one of the main issues with Grim's gadget is how vulnerable you are while shooting it. So if I go and do that again, I'm incredibly vulnerable for that amount of time, and this guy on half wall can easily swing me and kill me. Not to mention, his gadget takes about 3 seconds to deploy after you shoot it. So if you look here, if I shoot his gadget onto the half wall, right? You see how long that takes? In that amount of time, if I'm the defender, I can just do this and run away. Obviously, if there's good teamwork, your teammates can stop that from happening. But if the player on half wall is playing this smart, he can literally just run away this way and he's fine. And the problem with this specific scenario is if you want to swing that guy on half wall and clear him out, you can't have a teammate sit here and cover this because you're going to be swinging in front of him because this is a tight angle. Now, if you imagine the breach is open, things can get technically even worse. So let's say you have that breach open, right? The dude's on half wall. How are you going to shoot this without being vulnerable? If you shoot this from here, right? If you shoot this from here, it goes off and it'll cover the entirety of half wall, right? But when you're doing that, when you pull this out and do that, you're completely vulnerable from that half wall. There's no angle at which you're not vulnerable to this half wall. Obviously, your teammates might be able to pick up the refrag or something, especially if they're sitting on like this side of the breach or something. But you're completely vulnerable to that half wall. And if you want to do it from this side and swing out, this is an even worse scenario because now you have someone over here who can easily pick you off. And so this whole entire problem with Grim is that when you pull out his gadget, you're incredibly vulnerable. And it makes it pretty much impossible to get someone out of an area without putting yourself at extreme risk. And the thing is, with Grim, in this scenario, I can just bring a Capitao and I can just firebolt this entire thing off and it will shut down the defender playing here. In my opinion, I think Grim is kind of just if Capitao was like worse. And so in my opinion, I think the main issue with Grim is that why would I pick Grim over someone like Gridlock in the post plant or Capitao in the to clear out people from like half wall, for example? Because Capitao can literally make him take damage and can do it quicker and is less vulnerable while doing it, and then he can easily switch to his gun and gun this guy down. I can't do that with Grim. Boom. He's already out of there by then. And if you want to wait until this gadget goes off, you have to wait even longer, like 3 seconds or something. And so the fact that Capitaos go off instantly, deal damage to the enemy, forcing them out, is incredibly good and way better than Grim. And so in my opinion, I don't see the point in bringing Grim over someone like a Capitao or Gridlock because yes, Grim is powerful in the post plant. Like for example, you get the plant down here, you can Grim off this part of the site right here, and they basically can't come through there without you knowing. And so it basically can protect the diffuser while you're planting. But the same thing can be said about a well-placed Capitao firebolt. If I shoot a firebolt here, for example, this entire area is going to be covered for a bit while I'm planting. So Capitao Fire is almost just as good. Same thing with Gridlock. If I throw Gridlocks over here, they ain't pushing this without us hearing it or at least taking damage. If you're going to bring Grim, you can just bring one of those other operators. But this isn't the only issue with Grim, which I'll bring up the next couple of issues on Clubhouse. I'm going to go on Clubhouse and I'll show you guys the next couple of issues that I have with Grim. Okay, but before I show you guys my issues with Grim on Clubhouse, I'm gonna let you guys know about Gregor's video. Gregor made a great video on Grim. He has a couple more examples than I do, and he also uses the Clubhouse Catwalk as an example. So if you guys want to see that video, I'll have it in the description for you guys to go check out. He technically did this before me. Basically, the biggest issue with Grim, in my opinion, what's even worse, is how clunky and slow his animations are. Let's pretend I want to cover the Grims in over 90 and there, and maybe even the window, right? Let's pretend R2, 90, and window. I want to cover with Grims. If I want to do that quickly, this is me spamming the mouse button. That's as quick as I can do that. So as you can see, Grim's gadget is incredibly hard to use quickly in succession. And compare that to something like Zophia's concussion grenades or something. They deploy pretty much instantly, one after another. Whereas for some reason, Grim has to wait a significant amount of time to shoot his gadget. And then once it takes them 3 seconds to deploy once they hit the object. So Grim has a ton of things holding him back. Like I said, the animations, the amount of time it takes for his gadget to deploy. It's just, overall, he's a nightmare. And then, not to mention, if you want to, let's say you want to get a guy out from behind the motorcycle, right? You have to try to, let's say you want to do it from back here, right? Because of the way his gadget trajectory works, which Gregor talks about this in depth in his video, but the way his gadget works, it won't spread out far enough to where it can get the guy on the motorcycle. And you can't realistically clear this guy out without making yourself vulnerable, which is the biggest issue with his gadget. In almost every scenario where you want to clear out someone, you have to leave your body vulnerable for a long period of time to clear them out. Honestly, in my experience playing Grim, I have died more to his gadget than it has helped me. Like, his gadget is actually a detriment to you and can get you killed. And they really need to make some changes to his gadget. And so, ever since Grim released, I've kind of thought about ways that Ubisoft could buff him and ways that I think would be the most effective. And some of these are from my friends, some of these are just from what I've seen online, and then others are just off of my head. There's a couple ways that they could buff him to make him better. My friend Creator suggested a Bangalore type of deployment where, if you know Bangalore from Apex, she has smokes as her utility gadget. An arm will come out of her shoulder that will launch the gadget, so she doesn't have to actually pull out a gadget and then shoot it. It just automatically deploys without her having to do anything or switch weapons. And this would make Grim a lot stronger. If you could swing with your gun out and deploy the gadget at the same time, it would allow you to be less vulnerable when deploying the gadget. And it would, on top of that, allow you to kill the enemy when they start to run away from the gadget. Now, the issue with this is I do see this potentially becoming too strong because of the fact that not many operators in this game have that ability to just activate their gadget and swing people. So I don't know how it would work balancing wise. But another idea I've heard going around on the internet is having his gadget do something similar to Tachanka, where it bounces and then deploys. So that way you can get it around corners, shoot it up on the roof, and it'll bounce onto like rafters or something. And this will allow you to get better angles onto people and allow you to reach areas that you normally wouldn't be able to. And I honestly could see that as making him a lot stronger. But baseline changes that they need to make, first and foremost, before even changing how his gadget works, they need to make it to where his gadget can be pulled out quicker, put away quicker. They need to make it to where you can shoot multiple consecutive rounds of his gadget instantly, pretty much. I want them to function basically like Zophia's concussions, where he can shoot them back to back with no pause in between at all. And this will make his gadget feel a lot less clunky, because his gadget, compared to a lot of the other gadgets in the game right now, just doesn't feel polished at all. But overall, I do think they need to just look into Grim and come up with some changes or ideas to fix him, because right now he is just not in a good state. I've been playing a lot of Grim. His guns are fun. Like, his loadout is enjoyable, but his gadget I just can't use. Like, when I pull out my gadget in a match, I most of the time end up dying. And so I've just pretty much learned to stop using Grim's gadget, because it will end up getting you killed. And in my opinion, it's just not worth bringing over like a Capital or a Gridlock. And so for me, he desperately needs some looking at, whether that be a rework, increasing the range of his gadget. Something along those lines needs to happen, or Grim will continue to be an underwhelming operator that isn't worth bringing on your roster. Anyways, Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know how you guys feel about the current state of Grim. Let me know what you would change about Grim, if you would change anything. And let me know how you guys are enjoying Grim, whether you think he's a fun operator or not. I'm personally really enjoying him because of his guns. I really am not enjoying his gadget, and I really hope they can make some changes to him. But anyways, I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.